Hi, welcome back to the Gloria and Jan YouTube channel.
Yes.
So today we are back, but with a story time. I don't think we've ever done a story time before, but
I don't think so.
So today I'm gonna be giving my stalker story from high school, and it's gonna sound a bit crazy, but it really is crazy. You're gonna be like, okay, really? No, like really, this did happen. And I'm also gonna not say a bunch of specific things about the person.
Like details.
Yeah, or specific details and stuff like that, because I know people who know us will know who
we're talking about.
Yeah, because a lot of people know this person, so I'm not gonna like make it
like known.
Yeah.
What should
that you had
his like his name be? Yeah. Okay, I was gonna make a name up that starts with the letter of his name. I was gonna say Nate.
Oh,
because he's kind of crazy, like. Because I saw like clips from the Euphoria. I haven't watched that show, but I saw that Nate character was a bit crazy, and I was like, this guy was a bit crazy. Know what So my story, my high school stalker. Yeah, so I made like some notes for I won't skip over anything, or yeah. So if I'm looking down or reading something, they're my notes. So don't worry about that. So the first time I met Nate, this was outside of school. It wasn't at school. I was introduced to him. We were actually all introduced to him, all of my sisters. And I met him before I moved to the city we're currently living in, because we used to live in Gypsum, Colorado, and we would come a lot. That's when I met him. But we never had like a conversation. We never, nothing.
Never
like,
talked. We just literally got introduced.
Yeah, introduced, and that's it. And then moving forward, we moved to this city where he lived. And the first time I met him, and the first times we saw him, we thought he was an older dude. We
Honestly.
thought he was in his 30s or 40s. He looks pretty old. He looks like an old dude.
Just like his like facial features, then sort of the way that he presents himself and how he dresses as well.
Yeah, so I truly thought he was an old guy.
I thought he was maybe like in his early 40s.
Yeah, and I was in my teens. I was like 15, 16, 17, around that age. So, you know, someone in your 30s seems like an old man to you when you're younger. And at that time, I was like, okay, that's an old man. And then I actually end up finding out that he goes to the high school I was gonna go to. And so during the time that I was in school, I'd see him in the hallways a lot.
Was he like a year older, or?
He was a year older than me, but he was a super senior. So when I was a junior, he was a senior. When I was a senior, he was a super senior. I think that's how it went. He ended up graduating my year. He was older than me, but not that much older, but he did look really old. Yeah, he does look really old. Yes. And so because we were at the same school, just to be nice, I'd always say hi to him in the hall, but it wasn't like I'd see him and be like, hey, because if you don't talk, you don't really say hi to people. But he would initiate the hello. So to be polite, I'd say hello back, even though we didn't really talk. But there was somebody else in the school that I met prior to going to the school, and we'd do the same thing. We'd be like, oh, hi, like it was normal. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'll say hi to him too, since he's saying hi and be polite, blah blah blah. And so yeah, that's how it basically was. And anytime I would see him outside of school, he would never interact with us. He would never say hi, he would never nothing. But when he would see me at school, he would say hi. So I thought that was weird, that he would only greet me at school. He would never greet me outside of school. We had a short interruption, but we are back. Okay, so after giving that background information that I feel like is a little bit necessary, I first noticed the stalking in my first hour class. It was American government. I remember it was like 7:15 a.m. I always got to school a little, actually I always got to school late, but there was a few of those times I did get to school early, okay? And I remember just sitting there and class hadn't started yet, and you know when you feel somebody's watching you, that's what I felt.
Like you can feel it.
Yeah, and so I remember turning towards the door and seeing him just standing there, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's like with his friends by the door, and and that's why he's there. But I see him, he's like full on just staring at me, like, and because I would sit in the front row, in the middle, like almost to the middle, more to the right, but like in the front row. And so I remember just like turning to look at him and smiling, because like I'd usually just say hi to him in the hallway. But I was like, okay, maybe he's with his friends. I just smiled at him, and I saw that he just continued to stare at me. After saying hi, he just stayed standing there staring at me.
Bro.
Yeah, and that's when like I was a bit uncomfortable, so I literally just like turned towards the front of the board and was like looking at the date and like writing it down and like acting like I was in my own world, like he had stopped staring. But like from the side of my eye, I could still see him standing at the door. And so I was like, okay, whatever, like what the heck? So I just kept like ignoring him, and then I finally looked back up to be like, okay, maybe he's gone, maybe that's somebody else. And then he like looks at me again and he like says, so like I was like,
maybe that's what he was waiting for though, for you to like not look at him no more and then look back and then
yeah.
like, oh, like, you know, like.
But once I say bye to him, it wasn't like an audible like bye, it was like yeah. And I was like, and he finally turns around and leaves. So my first hour class was actually right next to one of the doors.
Like an exit door?
Yeah, an exit door. So my school had 3 buildings. There was the main building, the second building, and then the third building. And I was in the second building. And I remember my classroom was right next to the exit doors that would lead you back to the main building. But you'd have to like step outside, walk outside, and then get to the main building. And I saw him after he said bye to me. It was around the time the bell rang, I think. And that's when I saw him walk out from the door, the exit door. Yeah, I saw him go that direction and leave. And I was like, okay, like that was weird. And so class continued and I went to my next class, and then after like a few days I started noticing that he's always standing outside of my first hour class. Like at the beginning of class he's just standing
when clearly you have seen that he doesn't have class in that building. Yeah.
And so I'm like, what the heck? So at this point I start like ignoring him. I'm like, okay, he's making me uncomfortable, this is annoying, like I don't talk to him, so why? I noticed that he's literally just standing like this. Say this is a door frame, he's like, and I'm like, bro, like what's up with you? Like, you got a staring problem?
If you don't talk to somebody like outside of where you like are always around, like why would you feel like it's okay to just keep on being like,
yeah, standing?
Mostly if you're not trying to make a conversation or actually trying to be friends with them, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm like, that's what was weird, that he's just standing there staring at me, smiling, or else sometimes he wasn't even smiling, he's just staring at me. So I was getting really annoyed. So I was like, okay, when I start seeing him in the halls, I was like, maybe I'm being too friendly with him and he's getting the wrong idea or something. So I was like, okay, next time I see him in the hall, I'm done. I'm not saying hi to him anymore. Like, that's done. And so I think it was like after a few days of noticing that he's always at my first hour, I'm like more aware of my surroundings and like I'm noticing more things. So I'm like sitting down, and usually after class, if it wasn't my last hour that I could go home, I would take my time. Because usually if it was my last hour, I'd like grab myself and head out and run out because traffic would get really bad. But I had a class after, I would just chill and like kind of like slowly grab my stuff and like I'd take my time. And so I'm like slowly packing. Most of the kids are already out of the classroom. I start walking out when I notice him coming back in from those doors. And I see him coming back in and I'm like, what the heck? I walk pretty fast, so I'm like just like speed walking. I noticed like I like turn, he's like behind me. There's a few students between us because it would get full. The hallways, like, you know,
it's a city school,
passing periods are always like very full in the hallways. So I noticed that he's like a few people behind me and I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like walking and I walk out through the other exit because I had to go to building 3. I noticed he walks out behind me. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like speed walking to my next class, and I get in my second hour class and I just sit down and I noticed that he's like lingering around the door. Like he's just acting, he's just
had something to do.
Yes, he was acting like he had something to do out there. So he's just out there like acting like,
I've seen this.
Yeah, just lingering. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is he doing? So I'm like just staring at the door like and then
what you want?
Yeah, like, you gonna come in or something? But I'm like just staring at him, and yeah, and then I see that he like kind of like looks in quickly, looks out, looks in, and then he leaves.
Had he ever showed up to that classroom before?
No, I don't know. This is when I started paying attention.
Okay. Because that'd be creepy if it's like, that's the first time he stalked you to your next period, you know?
But the thing is that I'm telling you, because I started noticing this pattern of him showing up at my first hour class, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start like noticing. And I noticed him coming in, so that's when I started like checking, and that's when I noticed him. But I only saw him because I saw him coming in, you know, after my first hour. That's how I noticed that he was like coming in and following me. And so then third period happens and I noticed that he's doing the same thing again. He's like out there and just like staring in, and then when I like kind of like start looking that way, he like look away and act like nothing.
I bet he maybe is a bit like, oh, she won't know it's me.
Yeah, so I'm like, what the heck, bro? Like, okay, now like I'm getting like livid. I'm getting like super annoyed, and like I was so annoyed. Do you remember? Like I'm like like I was so annoyed. Like I was like disgusted, annoyed, mad, everything. So now I'm like, okay, I start putting the pieces together and I'm like, okay, this dude's stalking me. The following days I start noticing that he knows my schedule, like my full morning schedule, and I'm like, like, okay, like he's stalking me, like
Yeah, for him to know where you're at.
yeah, and he's out there all the time. And I knew that he didn't have classes in those buildings, or well, at least I got the sense that he didn't, because yeah, because when I was in one of the classes, I remember going to a different building to ask a teacher or something about a homework, and I remember seeing him in the other building. So I'm like, what was he doing
at the other
building before the bell rang? Like, what was he doing in my 3rd hour class or whatever? By this point, like I mentioned before, I was like, okay, maybe I'm being too polite. I'm done saying hi, you're a weirdo. And I see him a lot passing in the hallway, so like I was like, and I remember walking through the hallway like the first time, and he walks by and he's all like, hi. I can hear him say hi this time. It's not like a quiet hi, it's like, hi. Like I just keep walking as if he doesn't exist.
Didn't hear nothing.
Yeah, like he's not talking to me. I don't know him. That's not for me. So I just keep walking and I hear, hi Jan. And I'm like, I just keep walking. I'm like, that's not my name. Like, who's Jan? Like, that's crazy. I just keep walking and I turn the corner and leave. And then a few days follow, I'm passing him again in the hallway, and I'm just like, I'm still keeping this going. Like I'm not breaking. I'm not breaking. So he's walking again and he's all like, I see him from afar, and I start like staring at the end of the hallway. Like, I have a mission. I'm point A, I need to get to point B. And yeah, I'm not gonna turn in, no. So I'm just walking, no distractions, and I hear, hi Jan. And I just keep walking and I'm like, and I hear him, I said, hi Jan. And I'm like, what the heck? But he's like
in the hallway.
Yeah, he's screaming loud, and I just keep walking, and then I hear, Jan, I said hi. But he's like screaming,
like when they're like irritated or mad.
Yeah, he's screaming like a psychopath. And I see like kids in the hall, like they're starting to look at him. They're looking at him.
They're looking at who he's talking to.
Yeah, but I'm acting like I don't know who the heck he's talking to. Like I'm literally like walking forward, and I'm just like acting like nothing, like la 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 la. So these students don't know he's talking to me, because I was also new at the school, so it's not like people know that's Jan and he's talking to me. I'm seeing all these eyes start staring at the dude behind me, and I just keep walking. A few days follow, and he does the same thing, but this time, yeah. And so this time he's like in front of me, and that's when he starts screaming my name. But his face is red. He looks livid. His eyes are like popping out. He's like, he looks crazy. Yeah, he looks like irritated, angry, frustrated, but he looks like he's about to explode. And he's freaking yelling my name like a maniac. He's going to, Jan, I'm talking to you. Hi, Jan. And he keeps saying hi, like trying to get me to say hi back to him like a maniac. And I'm just like, I wasn't even embarrassed, because I was actually like I was like acting. I like deserved an Emmy for that performance, because I acted like my name was not Jan. I just kept walking right past him, and I think that was like making him more angry that
he wasn't getting the attention he wanted.
Yeah, so I'm over here walking straight. I'm not even looking at him. I'm just like, and he's like popping. He's like angry. He keeps yelling my name, yelling. And then this happens a few more times that he's screaming my name like a maniac. And I think like probably like a month later, he kind of gets the memo, oh okay, she's not gonna respond to me at all.
But still a whole month, bro.
Yeah, it was like really weird. That's why I'm like, it's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time it wasn't, because I was truly acting like I did not know him.
But I think it should be embarrassing for him, not
because he was acting crazy. And I'm like, and we had no we had no connection, we had nothing. So why do
there wasn't even a friendship or nothing.
Why do you feel so entitled to get me to say hi to you all the time? No, and it was crazy too for him to act that way. Like, that's weird. And so following that, a month passed, I think, and that was like around the time he stops yelling my name like a maniac. And every time he would see me in the hall, I would still act like I couldn't see him, but I could see him like staring at me walking by. Like, he just staring at me, but he wouldn't be staring at me like blankly. He would be staring at me like with anger. Like, he was angry. And so yeah, I'm just seeing this horrible.
But like, side note too, like, didn't you say that he was like really weird because he would like be touching girls like really like inappropriately in a way?
Yeah, like in the hallway he'd be like like hugging them, like, and like I could tell the girls were uncomfortable, but I don't know if she was his friend or not, I don't know, but she'd be like, haha, stop it, but trying to get like his hands off of her like stomach. And like you can tell when a girl is uncomfortable. Yeah, so he was like one of those very like touchy guys, and I'm like, that's also like disgusting. And yeah, so that's a red flag already. So at this point he's done screaming my name, but he is staring at me angrily every time I walk by him. Like, even if I did like a quick glance at him, I would still act like, you know when you make a glance at somebody you don't know, it was like that. It was like, oh, just keep walking, like there's no expression. I would literally not smile, nothing. It was like serious, like me just walking blank face. It's crazy, because at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop saying hi to him, because I think he's getting the wrong idea and he's following me. I was like, that's not normal for you to be getting being like followed throughout the beginning of the day. He only knew my morning schedule, and I think he didn't know my afternoon schedule because I'd go out for lunch with my friends, and then you know when you get back, everybody's everywhere.
Yeah, you can't really find anybody.
Yeah, so at this point, yeah, he's just being like angry, looking at me weird. After that, I think we graduated, so I haven't seen him since. I think I saw him at Ross one time afterwards, but he acted like he didn't see me. Well, I acted like I didn't see him, so he didn't approach me or anything, thank God. He was there with his mom. Recently, he sent me a friend request to my Facebook, to my new account. I did not accept it, obviously. That was the story of my stalker. So I have not seen him since, and I hope I don't see him again because we do live in the same town. Yeah. I hope you guys really liked this video. It was our first story time, so if it's all over the place, we are sorry.
We're like
learning.
That too. We're learning like that too, though. Yeah. Like, we're all over the place all the time.
But we're learning, so please be patient with us.
Yes.
If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It makes us feel good, and we know that you guys like the content. Please give it a like, comment down below, and subscribe.
Yes, remember to subscribe, guys. So right now we're at like 300 and something. I'm not gonna say the exact number because I don't know if it'll go up or down. But remember to subscribe just so that you can get more of our videos. All right.
This video, if you guys want to see more videos like this, then comment that down below. Give this a like and subscribe, please. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. So this is the end of the video.
Bye.